For our discussion on Opinion Court, please do text us on 22422. We would love to hear your views on our discussion, and you could of course also use the hashtag Opinion Court on Facebook and Twitter. Our official handles at Citizen TV Kenya, at Citizen TV News, at Ann Kiguta, and with an E, and of course the relevant Facebook pages. Joining me now in studio to my immediate right, Professor Edward Kisiangani, whom you're well familiar with by now, a resident political analyst. In the middle, Kikuyu MP Kimani Waichungwa and Suna East MP Mohamed Junet joining us today. So I thank you all, gentlemen, for your time. I want to start with you, Junet, because we want to just clearly clarify certain issues that came out of today's tour, if you like, of Eastleigh with the former Prime Minister. First, court demanded for talks with government, and the President said, "You're welcome to State House. Let's have a conversation." But today Raila Odinga turned that down and said he's not going to go and have a cup of tea there. Why is that?
You see, first and foremost, and we can't, the issues we want to discuss with the President are not small issues. These are issues that matter so much to the Kenyans that we represent. And as a responsible opposition, we highlighted the issues that we want to discuss with the President. We told him we want to discuss with you only 5 issues which we feel are very important to Kenyans. And what did the President say? Raila and Kalonzo are welcome for tea in State House. You see, they never asked for tea. They never asked for ugali.
Certainly, I don't imagine it
that
was
is the response. That is the response we got from State House, that they're welcome for tea.
Do you think it was literally an invitation to come and drink a cup of tea? Or to have a conversation?
We took it as a way of belittling the matter. It's a way of showing, contempt, that, you have no issues to discuss. You can just come and take tea at State House.
Under what conditions are you willing to have the conversation that you have demanded to have with government?
First of all, I want to inform you that my party leader and plus his other principals have written an official communication to the President, a letter, stipulating the issues that they want to discuss with him. So we expected the President to respond to their letter and give ways and means that they can meet and discuss those matters.
Which are the ways and means that you are proposing as court?
Those are details. First of all, we need to get the acceptance of the President that he is willing to discuss those 5 issues. Then from there we can go now to the next level and ask, this is the way we need to go. But when you are told, come for tea, I don't think somebody is ready to meet you.
Fair enough,
other than
but
having
you're not,
tea with him.
With due respect, sir, you're not answering my question. My question is, should the President then agree and say, fine, on these 5 issues, let us talk? What are the terms of engagement from court? You
see, Anne, court has a technical team that deals with those issues that we have raised at the moment. And once we get the concurrence of the President that is willing to discuss those 5 issues, the technical team now will prepare the terms of reference and send to our colleagues in Jubilee and tell them that these are our terms of reference. Are you okay with it? Yes, we are okay. Then, or no, we can rectify. From there, we can move. But we are at the initial stage where dialogue is not accepted. We are being told, come for tea, but we cannot discuss anything. So tea is everywhere, at even your house.
You actually had some.
I have tea, yeah.
I believe you've made my point. I want to bring in the rest of the panel on this discussion. And I want to start with you, Professor, because 2 days ago with Hussein Mohammed on the big question here, the same question in terms of reference for these talks was put to Ababu Namwamba. And again, there was no committal answer from court to say, this is how we want these talks to be structured. They say they want a structure, but they're not willing to tell the Kenyan public what it is. Do you think that in itself is breeding some form of perhaps suspicion as to what the real intention of these quote-unquote structured talks are?
I think for me, the most important point here is to discuss and to have dialogue. Probably everybody believes, I think we know that there are issues that require national dialogue. Now, we shouldn't waste too much time talking about the terms of reference because they really don't matter. They can still engage each other while standing in a Uhuru Park or even just walking on the road. And so long as they discuss the national issues that we really want to have addressed. So the terms of reference is not the issue. The issue is, can we reach a point where we can start discussing. Now, I think that I was very impressed by the president's speech on Madaraka Day, because he seemed to say, yes, we can talk. But political power has its own intrigues. I suspect that when there was a meeting at State House, some people might have suggested to the president that when you go into dialogue, you must dominate. When you are in negotiation, you must dominate. But if you are not ready to dominate, don't enter dialogue. So they think that at the point that the code is right now, if they enter those talks, they will dominate, because so many things have gone wrong with the Jubilee administration. So therefore, Jubilee has to prepare itself to set its own agenda, and probably the terms you are talking about, and make sure that in the event that they now accede to dialogue, they must dominate. They are not yet ready to dominate.
I want to ask you, Kimani, I beg your pardon, I'm coming to you very shortly, but I want to put this again to you, Prof, and to Junette, and perhaps I'll start with you.
Yes.
Two words are being used interchangeably here.
Yeah.
Negotiations
Yes.
and dialogue.
Yes.
Those in themselves are two very different things.
Yes, yes.
What does CORD want? And because you've used the word dialogue before, what is your understanding of what a dialogue is?
No, us, what we are interested in the moment is national dialogue.
Which is?
And we are very clear on the issues we want to dialogue on. Cost of living, corruption, devolution, electoral reforms, and the fifth one is, I am forgetting, there are 5 issues. The fifth one is corruption, national dialogue, and corruption, electoral reforms, cost of living, and devolution, and many other things that
equity, you said.
No, national cohesion. The last one is national cohesion. Now, what we want is that dialogue. We don't want to negotiate. We are not negotiating for anything. We are not interested in any power sharing. We're not interested in being part of government. We are more comfortable in being opposition. Opposition is more lively at the moment than being in government.
It's more lively. Negotiation.
Let me
just help. Let the professor just weigh in on why he used the word negotiation.
When you open grounds for dialogue, meaning two parties which never used to agree can now sit down and discuss, yes, they give rise to some negotiation. Where now you can say, we have this corruption. We have, for example, the option of putting in a number of people who are involved in corrupt deals, or ask them to pay. Which one is better? Then you can negotiate and say, yes, let's, for example, ask them to pay. If they fail to pay, that's when we arraign them in court. We have a security crisis in this country. You can rain on people and probably bring them in. You can be brutal, but again, the other way is to ask them to surrender arms, and then say they are part of this country's vision, so they aren't going to cause problems. So there are many things that you can negotiate. But unless you open a window of discussion, which is dialogue, there will be no room for anything to negotiate.
Kimani, I want you to listen to this clip that we're about to play. It was by the former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka. We've just heard Junette say that they're not interested in positions. I want to hear your interpretation of this. Let's roll the clip.
Na tunawaalika Jubilee wakuje kwa hiyo, kwa sababu haiwezekani 60% ya nchi wawe nje. We are talking about an all-inclusive government.
What do you think?
Let me begin by saying this. One, you're asking very difficult questions to the Honorable Junette and the Honorable Ababu Namwamba, because they have no idea of what they want. Because in the first place, come Saturday, they had no agenda of what they wanted to do. The script and agenda they had right from 3 weeks back was totally different from what they told Kenyans on Saturday. From what you hear Kalonzo saying, my interpretation, and that is the interpretation of many, many Kenyans, is that they are calling for an all-inclusive government where, as he purports to say, 60% of Kenyans are outside the government, meaning the people they were with at Uhuru Park, if those were 60% of Kenyans. And what Kalonzo was asking for, Kalonzo is a man who has never been out of government all his political life. He's been in government all the years. So he's experiencing something new, and he's truly frustrated, and he really wants to be in government. And I said, you asking the Honorable Junette and Ababu Namwamba and any other CORD member, those who are here, those who are not in America, what they want in these negotiations, and they will not have an answer for you. I will tell you, and I've said it, and I said it on Saturday, the script from CORD was totally different. That is where they're oscillating between dialogue and negotiations, because their idea was to instigate chaos in this country so that they can negotiate to get into government. That is basically what they were looking for and nothing more.
You're saying they're pushing for a revolution?
They are pushing for the Arab kind of spring revolutions. And I will tell you, and I have said it, I got information from somebody last week in Amsterdam that they had received 106 million shillings. Yesterday, I'll tell you, Anne, and I have no fear of contradiction, from the foreign masters. And I will tell you this. Yesterday, I in a discussion with one of them, one of their very senior members in this coalition, in Parliament, outside, I think it was outside the Honorable Duale's office. He approached me and told me, Mheshimiwa, you are wrong. It wasn't 106 million. It was 279 million.
The purpose of which is, in
and
your
the
opinion?
purpose, I will tell you, it all started some weeks back when you saw university students rioting in this city on the pretext that university fees were being increased. The ministry was at pains to try and explain to university students that there was no increment, but the students were still mobilized. I will tell you, about 36 million Kenya shillings was spent on university students.
The rest of this money, strong allegations you're making.
Yes.
Let's allow him to respond to them. Gina, please.
And I think we are in a national television that's credible. Some of the information and the rumors belong to Gata Press. You don't come here with no substantiation, with no documents to show which account the money went to, with nothing. Just come to national television, say CORD received 106 million. That was information for the Gata Press, not for a credible journal like this place. Number two, and 106 is just 10% of the 1.4 billion that they paid to Anglo Leasing the other day. It's just 10% of the public coffers money. But
Did you receive that money?
So we have not received any money.
We have not received any money.
We have not received any money from anywhere. And the money we spent at the rally, we contributed ourselves.
How much?
Me personally, I paid 100,000.
How much was spent at the rally?
We spent 800,000 shillings. It's on record.
Precisely. You will remember, last week, they reported to the Kenyan public that they were only to spend 250,000 shillings.
But what is 800,000?
Now he's talking about
Let me come in
this.
Let's not go to, as though we are handling here a funeral committee where you talk about 200,000, 600,000. Let me go to Kalonzo's point. Let me go to Kalonzo's point. That is more important than these rumors of the Gata Press. Kalonzo's point did not mean that he wants to be part of the government. For your information, Kalonzo is very comfortable now than being in this government of this nature. What he was talking about, when you form a government like the way Jubilee formed, he meant that all Kenyans must be appointed to government positions, irrespective of whether you voted for Jubilee or you voted for CORD. But what is happening in this country today? Two communities are sharing positions. In fact, one is complaining that we have not gotten our share. We need to be given more.
Let me say something. Please hold on, Professor.
That's what Kalonzo is talking about.
Sorry, please hold on. Has CORD come out with any position paper or some documentation to even put before Parliament and say this has been the share of national positions or of leadership positions in the country, and that they are in fact skewed to communities? Because this is an argument we hear often, but we haven't seen any particular paperwork to say here are the positions.
Unless we are living in darkness, you don't need to be told to see what is obvious, what is in the open.
Why would you not go to the floor of the House?
All the appointments that are happening in this country since Jubilee took over. Me personally, I've lost 2 executive officers from my county. One was head of NSSF, and the other one was head of Kenya Bureau of Standards. And we never complained, and they were all replaced by people from the people who claim to have won the elections.
Why not challenge these positions, etc., and all these issues, in fact, on the floor of the House, where dialogue actually happens all the time with members of Parliament who are representatives of the people?
Actually, Parliament is not even the right place, because sharing of government resources and inclusivity is a constitutional issue. We need to go to the court to seek a constitutional interpretation whether the way that Jubilee is doing the appointment is the right. It's not even Parliament is the right place, because Parliament only legislates. Parliament does oversight on government expenditures. But what I want to tell, and you know how Parliament operates of late. Parliament is we have a whole block of Jubilee people who are just voting blocks. They are just told vote P, they vote P. Vote A, they vote A. They don't even know what they are voting for.
Allow me to interject. And let me be very clear on one thing. It is true what you are saying. He is talking about the judiciary and not parliament. And that is exactly what we in Jubilee are saying, that there are certain constitutional institutions that provide us with that opportunity to continuously dialogue. If you need dialogue on insecurity, if you need dialogue on anything, even inequity in government positions, and you see the way they speak, you may believe that out of the 18 cabinet secretaries that are there are 9 are Kikuyu and 9 are Kalenjin, which is far from the truth, because this is an all-inclusive government.
How many are Kikuyus?
This is an all-inclusive government.
And
I think that is what we should be asking. Has there been any paper that they have tabled on the floor of parliament to exhibit what they are saying? And I'll tell you this. We said, and His Excellency the President said on Saturday, that on Sunday, on Madaraka Day, that indeed this dialogue process started 5 months ago. And it is true. The dialogue process in this country started with the wage bill. Mheshimiwa, please allow me to make my point. Let me make my point. The President said the process started 5 months ago. And anybody who may have anything else to contribute on this continuous process of dialogue is at liberty, and he welcomes them to come and contribute to that. When we met on Tuesday, and what Professor was saying is very speculative, because he was not in that meeting in State House. I was in the meeting, and our position was very clear. And we said that there are institutions that are set out in the Constitution through which we can interact with CORD and all other Kenyans and dialogue on those issues that touch on the lives of Kenyans. The only thing we say that we are not willing and we are not ready. And I want to say, myself as a representative of the people of Kikuyu, I am not willing and ready to dialogue on the disbandment of IEBC, because that is unconstitutional. There is a set process, and I think the chairman of CIC, Charles Nyachai, said it yesterday. There is a system, it's well set out in the Constitution, how, if you want to disband a constitutional commission, how to go about it. Therefore, let us not hide behind this smokescreen of dialogue, and all we are looking for is an opportunity to create chaos in this country and bring some sort of revolution.
What do you think of what you've heard?
Yeah, what I've heard is shocking. I think, first of all, from Mheshimiwa Kimani, you know, you went to a very good school.
Of course, the best school in the country.
Alliance High School is a good school. So you don't get involved in these trivial allegations which you cannot, you know, the public expects you to give evidence.
Professor, I have said it, I am reporting, I have actually written to the IG to investigate. I do not have the powers to investigate. I want the Inspector General of Police to investigate.
I'll leave that the way it is.
Those allegations.
The way it is. But what I would like to say is this. The point, from the point of view of Jubilee, I think you have a point, but you are presenting it badly. The way you are presenting your point is this: you want to stop dialogue because you really don't like.
We do not want to stop dialogue.
But there's a bigger issue. The bigger issue you should be raising, and the public will listen to you very carefully, is this: that surely there could be a problem about public appointments and in government, and I think that is a critical problem to be discussed. But you should say that what we have as leadership in CORD, the CORD leadership does not have the moral authority to talk about inequality in government, especially with regard to appointments, because you know that some of the members of CORD who are talking, including Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka, when they were in government, the coalition government, most of them ended up appointing their own relatives into government. So if that negotiation they are going to have with you means that they will propose their own brothers and sisters and their own relatives to join the government the way they did when they were in the coalition government, you say those terms, if they come on those terms, you don't agree. But if you are going to invite a neutral person like Siangani or another person like Anne to come and suggest, let us do this way, I mean, make this broader, then that's okay. So we don't want the CORD to mobilize everybody, their relatives to come to government, and then they say this is an equal government, because they have in the past proved that they don't mean it.
And actually, Professor, I'll tell you,
yes,
we are not saying that we are not even open to dialogue. We are saying that we are so much open to dialogue. Yes. And I think even what Raila Odinga is saying is way out of context. One thing is that the president has never invited Raila Odinga to State House for a cup of tea.
I want to help you.
What we said is that we want to live We want to give the president and Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, since they are not in parliament where we can dialogue with them. Yeah. If they want to dialogue, for instance, with the president, they are at liberty to write to the president as they have done. But the president so far has not invited them. And we are not saying that we are not even open to discussing anything with them. We are saying on those issues that touch on the lives of Kenyans, we are so much open to dialogue with them. And we also want, we want to take it further. We want to ask Raila Odinga to dialogue with Kidero. We want to ask Johnson Muthama to dialogue with Mutua. We want Wetangula to dialogue with his governor.
Look at the nomination. You're playing politics.
Let me before you do that, I just want to add something.
Say something, Professor. First, you are mistaken. What we are looking for...
I will give you some examples.
No, we are not looking for jobs ourselves, Professor Ian.
For your relatives.
And if you are interested in a job, you can write you can send your CV to State
House. I already have a
they
job.
Can give you
if
one.
You look at me, I'm not
now,
starving.
Number two.
Please don't leave me on. Jeanette, please finish.
Now,
please finish your point.
You see, Anne,
yes.
Jubilee may think that they're the only ones representing Kenyans just because they hold the executive of the country. Kenyans are represented in many ways, including members of parliament, including court, is representing Kenyans. They're not representing people outside Kenya. The voters, the clients, the political clients of court are Kenyans. So when court says that they want to dialogue on insecurity, they want to dialogue on corruption, they want to dialogue on devolution, they are not discussing here petty issues like Kabogo, Kidero. Those are petty matters. We are not interested in those small matters. We are interested in matters that touch Kenyans. And we are not dialoguing with the president to give anybody a job, including Raila, including his sister, including Kalonzo.
Don't miss
just
my
a
point.
minute, just a minute. Now, what I want to tell my friend here is that he's mistaken. He's in the wrong direction. And the direction he's taking is the direction that is going to remove them as government, which we are very happy. The direction of arrogancy, the direction of being impervious to reasoning, the direction of knowing everything, is the best direction that KANU took in 1992, and they were defeated badly in 2002.
For a common Kenyan, if you put on a scale of 1 to 10, what is the difference between the current government and the coalition government in terms of public appointments? Do you think that if we give CORD... No, just listen. If we give CORD leadership, and we have them to go their way, do you think there will be equality in distribution of positions? You know this office that is being occupied by the office of the deputy president. We had a team there which would still hold a meeting in their mother tongue.
Let me give you a small answer. Let me give you a small answer.
I'm telling you this question because, my brother, you need to listen. People can talk about national issues, but you must also have a moral authority to comment on things. Some of these people have been in government for a very long time, and all they have done in their offices, they have practiced ethnicity, and they have been corrupt. And then when it comes to the fact that they are not in power, they now have the moral authority to call meetings and say,
in fact,
Professor, let me answer to that.
Please hold
Professor,
on.
let me just say an answer.
I must allow him to give a quick response because we must go to the break.
Professor, you are dwelling on the past. General elections, just give me a time I respond to your allegations. But you are giving me a time I respond to your allegations.
All right.
Why we do elections is for those kind of reasons. We did an election in 2013 and we put new people in office. Just a minute.
Please let him finish.
You believe whether they won or they didn't win, they are in government now. They are the ones running the country. Yes. Whether they won or they didn't win.
Yes.
Now we have to live with them because they are the ones who are in power.
Now, and you have to live with them.
Professor, you
can't keep on
dwelling us. You can't keep on dwelling us on the past. That so and so did that last year. So and so did the other thing. That is why we hold elections every year. That's why we sell our manifestos.
Allow me to say
this. I beg your pardon, sir. I want to overrule you all because we must take a break. But one interesting thing before we go to the break that you've all mentioned is that there is need to have dialogue.
Yes.
Kimani, you've agreed to it, isn't
but
it?
It should not be dominated by court.
Hold on, Prof. Hold on.
Yes.
Prof has said yes. There should be dialogue. There should be dialogue. There should be dialogue. Let's see after the break if we can have a little dialogue here on some of those issues. A short breather for me and my panel will be back in Opinion Court after these messages.